What's up guys, it's Topsy. Here we are finally covering the last of the core characters for the Speed Duels Battle City Finals set. And this should be pretty exciting because I've already talked about how broken I thought my deck in general was, and if she gets a halfway decent skill, then I can't imagine just how good that deck is actually gonna end up being. In addition, the other character we yet to cover is Marik. So I'm interested to see what exactly they end up doing with him in the Egyptian God cards. So I think there's a lot to look forward to when it comes to these skills. But before we do get started, I would like to ask that if you do end up enjoying today's video, then a like and a subscribe would be very much appreciated. I am trying to get this channel to 5 subscribers by the end of the year, and I can't do it without your help. So with all that being said, let's jump right in. Alright then guys, so here we are on the official Yu-Gi-Oh Twitter page, and let's scroll down a bit. There's a few skills I haven't covered. But I want to go ahead and begin today's video by covering Marik's skills first, just because I'm more excited for so I want to get surprised once we get there. Alright then, so let's begin with Marik, give it a quick read, and then just digest what exactly each of these skills do and how good they're actually going to end up being. Alright then, so starting off we have Advent of Ra, which is going to be the main skill this deck is going to be using out of the box, which reads: when you tribute summon the Winged Juggernaut Ra, its original attack and defense becomes the combined original attack and defense of the monsters tributed for its summon. Cool. Once per turn, during your main phase, you can activate one of these skills. Skill number 1, reveal the Winged Juggernaut Ra monster in your hand, then place it at the bottom of the deck, then draw one card. Okay, standard mulligan. Skill number 2, once per duel, you can discard one card, then add the Winged Juggernaut Ra monster from your deck to your hand. Okay. Yeah, it's a skill. Alright, I'll hold off on comments until I read the second one though. Second skill, Pulling the Strings, which reads: apply the following skills. Skill number 1. Once per turn, you can give control of one face-up monster you control to your opponent, and if you do, it cannot be tributed. That's interesting. Once per turn, during your opponent's end phase, you can destroy one monster your opponent controls that you own, and if you do, inflict 500 damage to your opponent. Also, for the rest of this duel, you take no damage from cards you own. Very, very interesting. Okay. So, first thoughts, these skills are not what I was exactly expecting, but that's alright. So let's begin with Advent of Ra. My initial thoughts is, yeah, it's a Ra skill, and it's a bit boring. Again, we're seeing this common trait of a lot of these skills being just the mulligan / search effect, very standard so far, so that's not a big surprise. But the effect that I kind of like, and I think it's pretty neat, is the fact that they're giving Ra its anime effect, where its attack becomes the combined attack of all the monsters used for the tribute summon. So that is pretty cool. However, again, this isn't doing all that much for Ra as a monster. It's only okay. Honestly, I could only ever see myself using this skill in particular if I particularly wanted to, like, roleplay as Marik in a duel with friends, you know. Particularly not an awesome skill. Fun, you know, it'll make playing Ra actually, and I don't want to say easy, but it'll just make it fun. However, I feel like what could have made this skill a bit better is if you could search out like sphere mode or something. That could be kind of interesting, just because that would enable you to facilitate the alternative way of summoning Ra via sphere mode by summoning it from the deck. That could be kind of fun because that would make a lot more sense to be able to mulligan Ra into the deck and then be able to search out the sphere mode, you know. But that's just like a thought. Additionally, I would have liked if the mulligan effect was for all 3 pieces: the sphere mode, the Phoenix, and original Ra, because it's not like we haven't seen this already with what was it, Battle City Slugger, I believe, where you're able to mulligan like a shit ton of monsters for Joey. I don't see why we couldn't have done that with Marik as well, but those are just my thoughts. Overall, Advent of Ra it's primarily just like a roleplay skill. I don't particularly see this skill being that good. As for Pulling of Strings, this skill is very, very interesting just because of some of the cards that we have in Marik's deck. If I'm not mistaken, Lava Golem in Return of Seal or something like that. It's a spell card that allows you to take control of a monster that you're the original owner of. I'll show it on screen. That card was a card in his deck, which makes it a lot more interesting why he has that last line in the secondary skill for pulling the strings, where you take no damage from cards you own. That's kind of cool because essentially what you could do is tribute away 2 of your opponent's monsters, summon Lava Golem on their side, activate that spell card, take control of your Lava Golem again by getting rid of 2 of your opponent's monsters, and then essentially you have a 3k monster that doesn't burn you. That's kind of a neat play. It seems a bit niche, but neat nevertheless. Another cool thing that I see that is that you're able to give your opponent one of your own monsters, which is an interesting play. I could see you doing this with maybe like the slime tokens that Jam Breeding Machine could make. Not Jam Breeding Machine. Oh my goodness, the evolution of Revival Jam. I forgot the name of that card. But I could see you doing that, giving it to your opponent, and then being able to like deal damage to them in that way. That could be interesting. Also because they can't tribute them away. This is definitely one of those skills that I'm gonna have to test out a lot on my own in order to see just how good it is, just because of how weird it interacts with cards in the game. Overall, I like these skills better than what they give Joey, just because they feel a lot more fresh compared to what Joey had. Interesting for Marik. Now let's move on to Mai. Alright, and this is the one that I was the most excited to cover. Mai, as I said, I was super excited for just because the Amazon deck looks absolutely insane. And again, if the Amazoness / Harpy deck gets any more support, it could be a real threat in the format. So let's begin with the main skill, Tribal Unity, which is kind of cool because I believe her first skill was like Tribal Synergy. And that was a pretty decent skill. But let's go ahead and focus up. Alright, which reads, Harpy monsters are also treated as Amazoness monsters and vice versa. Oh, I think this is the first time I've ever seen the term vice versa on a Yu-Gi-Oh card. That's kind of fun. Alright, let's continue. While they're on field, or in the graveyard. Once per duel, you can discard one monster and make one Harpy or Amazon monster you control gain attack equal to its level of the discarded monster times 200. Wow. Okay. Very, very cool skill. Second skill, Harpy's Kaleidoscope. Alright, let's go ahead and read this. Harpy Lady's sister monsters you control can't be destroyed by your opponent's monster or trap effects. Okay. Also, they gain the following effect. Once per turn during your main phase, you can place 2 Wind Beast monsters in your graveyard at the bottom of the deck in any order, then target one monster your opponent controls, return it to the hand. Wow. Man, okay. So this is just like a whiplash of just the difference of stealing in these skills that we just read with Marik to now. Let's begin with Tribal Unity. This skill is incredible. It's very simple in the way that it works, but it's just so good. The first thing that came to my mind is that with Harpy Queen being a card added to her deck in the Battle City Final set, and the Harpy Hunting Ground being a card that already exists in the game, essentially, if you're playing an Amazon strategy that is very battle-centric and are just able to play Harpy Hunting Ground, normal summon your Amazoness monsters, and then hop your opponent's back row by just normal summoning your Amazoness cards, that's incredible. Especially with cards like Onslaught in the game, with Princess. All these cards just make your deck so much more aggressive, and this is going to be, I think this is gonna make potentially Amazoness the deck to beat going forward. Not even to mention the fact that you're also able to increase the attack of your Harpies or your Amazoness monsters by a significant amount, because a lot of these cards are level 4, so if you pitch one of them, that's almost a 1,000 attack gain, which is a lot. This is really exciting / scary considering just the amount of stuff that these decks have going for them. Yeah, Tribal Unity, it's amazing. It's great. It doesn't do a crazy amount, but what it does, it does it perfectly. Very, very great skill. As for Harpy's Kaleidoscope, this skill isn't as good, but I will say this, it's still a great skill. I love the fact that this skill is trying to make Harpy Lady Sisters a viable boss monster in your deck. And being able to get rid of your opponent's monster that is somewhat problematic by bouncing it is not a bad effect whatsoever. And the cost is not that bad either. Just because in the Harpy deck, it's not that hard to get rid of, or at least to send multiple Winged Beast monsters to the graveyard. You have a lot of cards that can do that. So being able to facilitate this effect is not going to be that difficult, especially because it's a once per turn effect, which is absolutely insane. And I'm 100% gonna end up building a Harpy Lady Sisters deck of some sort, just because the deck has a lot going on right now. They have that one spell card that allows them to search out the Elegant Egotist. There's a lot more Harpy cards in the game now, so being able to trigger the Egotist to some of the sisters a lot easier. As a whole, yeah, this is a really exciting skill. We haven't even mentioned the fact that in addition to that, Harpy Lady Sisters also gets protection from monster effects and trap effects, which is really significant. Just because with cards like Sakuretsu Armor being around, yeah, like Saku, Blast Chain, these cards are prevalent, in particularly with the Red skill free strategy, but I'm sure there's other cards that I'm not thinking. XYZ Dragon Cannon is another one that you get protection from, so that's kind of a cool thing to see as well. So I'm really loving this. Honestly, they kind of just knocked it out of the park with Mai. Mai has two very viable skills. Of course, again, I do believe that Tribal Unity is the better skill here, just because Amazoness as a whole has so much going for it. But Harpy's Kaleidoscope, honestly, it's a sleeper skill. The Harpy strategy is very strong on its own as well. They have a lot going for them. And honestly, I am loving this. It's incredible. Really good. Alright guys, and those are pretty much my thoughts about both Marik and Mai. As you can see, I am very much leaning towards the positive on one of the characters more than the other. Just because I genuinely do think that the way that they did Mai was above and beyond what I expected. As I said initially, if they had just given her a halfway decent skill, that was already enough to make me think that Harpies were going to be, not Harpies, but Amazons were going to be a real problem in the format, and given what they were given, I believe that even more now. As for Marik, Marik's skills were cool, interesting. Again, with the strings skill, I feel like there's going to be a lot more I need to look into before I make a really cohesive thought. I think there's probably something there. I think it's really interesting that you get protection from burn from your own effects. I feel like maybe that could be exploited in some way, but I just can't think of it right now. But yeah, they weren't as impressive as what Mai ended up getting. And the raw skill was just like a whatever skill. It's cool, but nothing to write home about. But in the comment section below, give me your thoughts. Did you like Marik's skills? Did you like my skills? Do you think I'm hyping up her skills a lot more than she deserves? Do you think I'm downplaying Marik's skills more than that I'm leading on? Or do you know any cool interaction with the strings ability? I'd love to hear all your thoughts in the comment section below. But guys, if you did end up enjoying today's video, a like and a subscribe would be very much appreciated. So with all that being said, have a wonderful rest of your day, and I'll catch you on the next one. Bye.